Have you ever looked at a men's health cover model or RIP fitness model with envy? Or maybe looked at professional football and thought they had it all? Well, I've been all of those things, and let me tell you this, on the surface, it's not all it's cracked up to be. So in this episode of the Kirk Miller Podcast, an aptly titled episode, Man United, Men's Health and Drugs, I'm going to share with you some brutal home truths about what it's actually like to be a footballer, what it's like to be a fitness model, cover model, what it's like to have ripped abs, but still be emotionally fragile. But more importantly than that, one of the intentions with this podcast is to be fully transparent and ruthlessly honest. It's what I prided myself on. But the podcast is going to allow me to do that at greater depth. And you'll see within my story why I'm so obsessed in helping people develop a strong mindset and confidence. Because it doesn't matter whether you've got a six-pack or if you're a successful businessman and you've got loads of money, you can buy what you want. If you're not truly content in your own mind and you aren't operating with the confidence that deep down in your heart you know you want to live with, then you're leaving happiness on the table. And you'll always be thinking, what if? And it's my absolute mission, not just with my coaching business, but with this podcast, to help remove limitations, help people really expand their identity and really, really build a mindset as strong as their body and as successful as their business. But in order to do that, I think it was very important for me to share an episode which really digs deep and unpacks some things I'm going to speak about today that even my mother hasn't heard about on the magnitude that I'm going to share with you. I want this to be the most honest podcast out there. And there's just certain moments in my life and in my story which I think will be very relatable, whatever stage you are in life, whether you are someone who has a great body, but you still feel that you're maybe lacking a little bit of mental strength or emotional consistency, or you just deep down know in your heart you've got confidence inside you that's just desperate to come out. Or maybe you feel that you've got a great business, you've got the money, but you haven't got the body that is in line with that. And as I have with all of the people I coach, I want to help you tick all the boxes because I think if you can be more confident, why wouldn't you be? If you can build a strong mindset, why wouldn't you? And if you can build a better body that's going to make you feel happier, then why wouldn't you? So without further ado, thank you so much in advance for listening to this. I hope you take immense value. But I'm going to kick off from the get-go with where everything started for me. So I'm originally from a council estate in Coventry. Proudly, I have two fantastic parents, a brother, a sister, very loving family, working class. You know, my mum and dad did absolutely everything for me. And from a very early age, when my father put on a Manchester United kit, I was literally obsessed with football, absolutely obsessed with football. That was who I was from a very early age. And all I cared about was being a footballer. And in particular, the dream was to play for Manchester United, which is going to be quite poignant, really, in relation to my story. And obviously, in the title of this talk, Men's Health, Man United and Drugs, because I'm going to share some things that not everyone knows about me in relation to Manchester United. But at the age of 3, I had my first curveball moment. I'm not too sure if I really remember it exactly, but I just remember flashes of waking up at the age of 3, not being able to move my legs. I literally couldn't get out of bed. And I had this weird form of arthritis where from the age of 3 to 6, I was sort of in and out of, I think it was called plaster and parish. And it was one of those things that, you know, even to this day, I have flashbacks here and there of like my mum taking to me to the hospital. A bit like Forrest Gump style, really, you know, where I had this plaster on both my knees. And as a result, every time you come out this plaster, you've got very skinny legs, which is why I'm probably so obsessed with building strong legs now. But, you know, following on from that, at the age of 6, after seeing specialists for 3 years, I had my first moment in life where I feel it's that first moment that really shapes your character. Really, you decide in that moment who you're going to be. At the age of 6, I got told by a Polish specialist that the only sport I was ever going to do was swim. And he knew I loved football. All right. And I remember crying next to my mum. And it's weird how really throughout your whole childhood, you only remember certain things, and that was one of them. But I decided in that moment I was going to prove him wrong. And I'd like to think I did, because a year after that, I was winning athletic races at school. I was back playing football, and from the age of 6 to till the end of my school, I was the kid at school that was captain of all the football teams. Generally won every race in terms of athletics. I was a very athletic child, but my point is, I didn't let that doubt and that label that the specialist had told me at the age of 6 hold me back. So, if anything, that was a fantastic conversation that the specialist had with me, where I proved him wrong. And it was my first sort of eye-opener in life that it doesn't matter if someone says to you can't do something, you really can if you put your mind to it. So life was going pretty smooth. From the age of 6 to 16, I'm the guy at school that's captain of all the football teams. I got signed by Coventry City at the age of 10. And then I was with them from the age of 10 to 20. However, I want to speak about a moment for me, which I suppose has shaped my why and everything I stand for as a coach. At the age of 13, even whilst being at Coventry City, I had a phone call from Manchester United scout. Well, actually, they called my dad, and they'd been watching me at a sort of pre-season tournament at the age of 13, and they basically offered me a schoolboy forms. They wanted me to go up at the end of the season, because you weren't allowed to go any earlier in those days. At the end of the season, I was guaranteed schoolboy forms, and I would obviously meet all the first team. And this is where Manchester United had a fantastic team. I know they're not doing too well just now, but Cantona, Giggs, Beckham, they had a phenomenal team. So at the age of 13, I have the opportunity to technically sign for Manchester United, or stay on with Coventry. Because what happened, Coventry found out that Manchester United contacted me. I tried to keep it quiet. Gordon Strachan, the Coventry City manager at the time, comes to the training ground where I was training with Coventry, and he says, "Oh, look, we know Manchester United have been in contact." I tried to lie, and obviously in professional football, people find out these things. But long story short, they wanted to offer me a professional contract at the age of 13. So I knew at the age of 17, I was guaranteed to be a professional footballer. Guaranteed to be a professional footballer, which was unheard of at the time. In academy football. So I had two choices. One, take the safe option of a guaranteed professional contract with Coventry. So I knew 4 years later I was going to be a professional footballer, which was my dream. Literally, from the age of 3, 4, the moment I was aware of life and what I wanted to be and do, that was I'd sort of accomplished that really if I agreed the contract with Coventry. Or take the riskier option, which is sign for Manchester United as a schoolboy, not as a guaranteed professional. But that was my team. That was the team I supported. So this is Manchester United. For 10 years prior to that 13-year-old decision, if you'd have said to me, "What do you want to do and who do you want to be?" it would have been, I want to sign for Manchester United. So I had that moment in life where you've got your dreams staring you in the face, and I chose the safe option. And for years I made up a story that it was because my mum, she said, "What about your studies? What about your school? What about if it goes wrong?" But deep down, there were many moments prior to the age of 13 where if my mum would have asked me to do something or shared her opinion, I'd have conveniently ignored that. But I didn't. In that 13-year-old decision, I decided I wasn't good enough. I didn't believe in myself, because otherwise I'd have went for it. Irrelevant what my mum was saying, irrelevant what my dad was saying, irrelevant to the guaranteed professional contract at Coventry, I decided, I wasn't good enough. I didn't believe in myself. All right, which is why now I'm absolutely obsessed in helping people, really expand their beliefs about themselves. Because often when we have a decision in life, whether it's personally, professionally, emotionally, whatever it may be, and we take the safe option, deep down, there's something internally that holds us back, that in that moment we say to ourselves, we're not quite good enough. Okay, so that was my moment. That was my first lesson in life, not to take the comfortable option. That was the first lesson in life, not to take the comfortable option. Because the reality was, I signed for Coventry at the age of 17 as a professional footballer. 3 years later, that so-called safe option, I was released in a 20-second conversation by Gary McAllister, who told me I wasn't good enough. That was the first time in my life I'd properly been told to my face I wasn't good enough. And deep down I crumbled, because I'd attached my whole identity to being a professional footballer. And when you have this perception of how life should be, and I'll speak about this continually on future episodes, when you have this perception of how life should be and who you actually are, and your living conditions aren't aligned to that, there's a problem. Because I'd attached my whole identity to being a footballer. The moment that dream was took away, I crumbled. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. I started questioning what life was about. Okay? And then I was faced with a decision. What next? What next? So after looking into different things, even though at the time, looking back, the most obvious thing would be to get into doing what I'm doing now, which is transforming people, fitness, health, mindset. It's what I'd always love to do. The knockback, the rejection sort of deflated me. And that was too obvious. Sometimes the things in life that you know you should do are too obvious, and you don't do what deep down what your passion is telling you to do. And I basically chose another safe option, which was retrain as a gas engineer, a plumber, because that was safe. You'd always have money. You'd always be able to pay your bills. You'll be okay for the next 20, 30 years. The reality was, even with that plumbing course, looking back, how I passed that, I don't know. I must have been one of the worst students in that class, because I had no passion for it and sort of stumbled my way through the sort of qualifications to get there, but somehow become a qualified gas engineer. Right? So I couldn't, anyone watching this, I can promise you that 90% of plumbers and gas engineers probably are a bit more passionate and genuinely good at what they do. I wasn't dangerous, but I just wasn't very good at it. But in short, that was my second lesson in life. Second lesson in life, not to take the safe option, because what happened after that, and this is where I want to sort of tie in more with like behavior patterns, because this is where I think a lot of people struggle. When you've got a vehicle, which for me was football, which is meeting all your needs in empowering ways, and is positive, and it's looking after your character and your behavior in a positive way, because it's giving you long-term reward as well as short-term reward. And then that's took away, and then you replace that with something that isn't meeting your needs 50, 60 hours a week, which obviously plumbing wasn't. You're going to have reactive behavior patterns around that if you're not fulfilled in what you do. So why am I telling you this? Even though I was a plumber, on the surface, yeah, good job, all this stuff, and I still had the six-pack, I was still in the gym, I was still the ripped guy in the gym getting my ass kissed. Deep down, I wasn't happy. So I still had destructive behavior patterns. So I was literally one of those guys living for the weekend, drinking, drugs. It's no coincidence, within a couple of months after getting rejected by Coventry, I took my first line of cocaine. Not proud of it, but I was hurt. Deep down, that was my way to numb the pain of the rejection. And obviously that become very addictive. More from a habitual perspective. Every weekend you're doing that, you're drinking, because you're not fulfilled in what you do. And this was me with the six-pack, with the ripped body. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I've been the guy that's been ripped to fuck, getting my ass kissed in the gym, not struggling when it comes to attracting women, but emotionally fragile. Because I firmly believe that whether you're over-consuming alcohol more than deep down you want to, over-consuming sugary foods, shit food, binge eating, or you're touching drugs too frequently, porn, whatever it may be that deep down you've lost control with, it's a sign you're not happy. It's a sign you're not happy. Six packs don't make you happy. People's perception of a great job doesn't make you happy if you're not content and happy with your own description of yourself in the form of your own identity. So during that 5 to 6 years as a plumber, I was still ripped every week, pretty much year round, but I still couldn't control my behavior at the weekend. So you're looking for a light bulb moment. You're looking for something just to get you out of a hole. And what was really significant during that period, and this is why I speak heavily to clients and even to you guys now about the power of language, my internal dialogue, my internal conversation with myself, and my external words that I was using on a regular basis, and I've got social media captions and stuff to post to prove this, was so negative. My language pattern was so negative. My description of myself was so negative. Not necessarily from a body perspective, but I was just shot. You know, always negative, playing the victim, looking on what I didn't have, focusing on who I was, not who I wanted to become. And I'll come back to this later in this episode. Basically, living in the past. I didn't violate the old identity. I didn't create a new one. And if your goal is to build a fantastic body, great mindset, new level of confidence, you need to continually expand your language patterns in relation to that. You need to speak what you want and focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Okay. But then I had a light bulb moment in 2009, but you know, not many people know about this. Because in 2010, of course, I won a men's health cover model competition, which was a life-changing moment, but I'll go into a little bit deeper about that in a second. But in 2009, I had the chance to enter the men's health cover model competition again. My friend Sonia, Sonia, awful lot, who pushed me to do this. There was a yearly competition with Men's Health, and in 2009 she said, "Kirk, I think you could win this. You know, you look very similar to the guys on the cover. All you need to do is do a write-up, send a few pictures off." But I was so emotionally shot at the time, and I lacked so much self-belief, basically on the back of a 30-second rejection conversation by Gary McAllister at Coventry, that I thought, there's no way they're going to pick me. I'm just from Coventry. It's not going to happen. So anyway, Sonia thankfully writ the write-up for me, 250 words, whatever it is. She even submitted the pictures for me. And I made the men's health final, which is great. You know, you've got this light bulb moment. You've made the men's health final, but I missed the phone call. Why? Because I was fitting a toilet in the job I didn't like in someone's house. Missed the phone call naively at the time. And this just probably shows you how lazy and just sort of lost in life I was really at that time. I didn't call them back till a week later. So I called them back a week later. Claire Matthews, still remember her name to this day. I said, "Hey Claire, I'm just calling you back. I've made the men's health final." She said, "Kirk, yeah, you did. Unfortunately, I've had to give you place to someone else because you called back too late. We don't give the men's health finalists too much notice. You only get 10 to 12 days notice at max. So I'm really, really sorry, but you've missed out." So I was devastated, absolutely devastated. All right. You've got this moment where your life might change a little bit, you know, from this day-to-day job that was sort of killing me, really. I know it sounds dramatic, but it just so unfulfilled and you couldn't see a way out. And then you've got this shot to maybe change your life, and basically I fucked it up. You know, I didn't call them back for a week later. So you're then thinking, okay, cool, crack on with life, still living for the weekend, still training. That was my security blanket. So that was my security blanket, was the gym, training. That was where I was getting my significance in life. That was where I was getting certainty, basically pats on the back, praise. That was where I relied on, you know, other people, because I didn't love myself at the time, making me feel good. All right. But what happened during that period from 2009 to 2010, I started immersing myself a little bit more into personal development. I started looking at the world a little bit differently. I read certain books like The Secret, started watching things like Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I started, instead of playing the victim, I started shifting my mindset a little bit on a bit more positive things. And this is why I'm so obsessed with personal development. And really being careful of the energy you absorb, the information you absorb, and making sure that it's serving you for a greater purpose. Because in 2010, I then got pushed again to do the men's health competition by Sonia. She says, Kirk, I think you should do this again. I've got a good feeling about this. I'm like, well, they're not going to pick me 2 years on the bounce. Who gets picked 2 years on the bounce with men's health? And she went, Kirk, just do it. Again, she did the write-up. I had some pictures done. And fast forward a couple of months, I received another phone call this time from the same Claire Matthews to say, Kirk, we're delighted to tell you you've made the men's health cover model final. Thank God I answered that phone call, because I was about 5 minutes away from going to Greg's, which is like a pastry store, because I was hungover from the weekend after another weekend of getting after it off my tits. And I was about 5 minutes away from pigging out because I was hungover on a Monday. Thankfully, I didn't. She said, Kurt, you made the men's health final. And she said, I know you missed it last year, but we think you got a great chance, you got a great look, and I'll see you in 12 days. But the problem was I'd been on a 2-week all-inclusive holiday to Mexico where I couldn't stop eating and drinking because, again, just like the weekends, I was completely living for my holiday to sort of escape from day-to-day life. And I had a lot of work to do. So you're thinking, shit, I've got 12 days to sort myself out here. But the weird thing was, I knew I was going to win. I knew I was going to win. Even though there were 7 of us out of thousands, there was something in my heart telling me that I knew I was going to win. There was a flicker of believing in myself a little bit more because of the personal development work I'd done from 2009 to 2010, which is why I just want to continually sort of reinforce to you guys that if you are really trying to change your body, work on your mindset, work on personal development just as much as your body, because you need to work on your beliefs and your identity if we're really going to create lasting change with our body. Okay, so I won the men's health final, which was great, but I want to share something that I've never shared before. Because a lot of people, especially on social media now, and in the fitness world in particular, the influencer world, you can look on the surface of these people and think they've got it all. Great body, maybe a decent following on social media. They might just breed confidence on the front end. But even though I'd achieved a life-changing moment, which I knew that was going to be the catalyst then to, of course, become a coach and do what I'm doing now, at that stage of my life, at like 26, 27, I still hadn't had enough of emotional conditioning and mindset work for me to really control, my internal state. Because picture the scene. I've just won a men's health cover model competition. We then go to a nightclub with all the men's health team, all the editors. I have a couple of friends who come down from Coventry, and I'm with the rest of the finalists. And I have, that moment that I know is going to change my life, and I'm then faced with a decision. I'm out, I'm drunk, and up to that point, I'd been pretty much doing cocaine, I'd say most weekends, every time I was drinking, as a habit. Because up to that point, I'm still in a job I didn't like. Even though I'm the ripped guy, it still didn't change the fact that I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. So it was a habit at the time. But I thought, God, Kirk, for fuck's sake, if you're going to not do it one night, don't do it the night you win the men's health competition. Anyway, I get drunk, I fight it, and then I say to my friend, can I have some? I go into the toilet. There's no one in the toilet. I obviously do cocaine. I come out the toilet, and who's there? It's the men's health editor. And for anyone who's done cocaine, I didn't flush the toilet, so I weren't in the toilet going to the bathroom, if you know what I mean. And you come out, and the person in the toilet is the men's health editor, who's just giving you this life-changing moment. You're on the shelves the next day, so I knew it was too late to turn back. I still, to this day, don't know if he knew what I was doing, but my point is, you've just achieved something where the next day, I'm getting my ass kissed, and ridiculous amount of messages, following's growing, like people are very, very proud of you, and of course, I'm eternally grateful for that, But my point is, I'm on the cover of a magazine, which every man on the planet pretty much would love to be on. But I was that emotionally broken still that I still couldn't control the urge to do drugs. I still couldn't control the urge to do drugs. So what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter what you see on social media. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes sometimes of people. And, my message to you listening to this is, don't compare yourself to other people. The great body won't make you happy if you're not in control of your state. The external gratification you might get when you've got nice things or you'll be able to buy nice things, it doesn't make you happy if you're not in control of your mind. And deep down in that moment, I wasn't controlling my mind. So I knew I still had work to do at that point. And I suppose this is why now, even as a coach, I'm absolutely obsessed with making sure that people genuinely have control of their emotional state, just as much as being able to do, a powerful squat or eat chicken and broccoli. Because if you can control your state and you can control your emotion, the physical consistency will come with that afterwards. All right. One without the other doesn't go. As I may have said in my first ever episode on this podcast, you need to be just as confident and in control of how you're internally feeling your emotions as externally with how happy and confident you are with how you look. All right. Which is why I'm absolutely obsessed in making sure that you tick both boxes. All right. Because I've been the guy, Men's Health cover. I had 2 covers off that. And that then sort of caused a relentless flow of covers. Then I had record covers with Men's Fitness. I had global sponsorships with great brands like Grenade, My Protein, Better Bodies, traveling all around the world. But it still took time to shake off that habit and the lack of emotional control I had with my mindset and with destructive behavior patterns. All right. So obviously, eventually I worked through it, then quit my job with 5 hours personal training within 9 months. And that was my third test in life again of, right, do you take the safe option of staying in your plumbing job? You're still getting your covers, you're still building your social media following. Do you stick with that safe option, or do I take a risk and follow my passion, follow my purpose? And I knew that there was no other option than taking a risk. I quit my job at 5 hours personal training. Within 2 weeks, I had a full diary. Generally, when you follow your passion, follow your purpose, it's weird how the universe opens things up for you to sort of make it work, because you have a new injection of energy. And I was at the point where, even though I had my parents again and friends going, "What about your bills? What about it goes wrong?" I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck. Whether it's to do with your job, whether it's to do with your body, whether it's to do with your emotions, if you know you can be happier, potentially exploring a different avenue, potentially taking a risk, then do it. Because I've been that guy that took the safe option at 13 and failed at 20. I've been the guy that took the safe option at 20 and was incredibly miserable and obviously really lacked control with my emotions and behavior for 5 years after that. And in destructive relationships, because generally when you're not happy with yourself, you're going to meet people on that level who deep down aren't aligned to your true nature. Okay. So yeah, evolved into personal training, became the big fish in a small pond in Coventry, and then started going into online coaching. And I suppose the rest is history, really. And obviously since then, built a very successful business, helping people all around the world get the best physical, mental shape of their life and unleash from within confidence they never thought possible. And the key thing is here, best physical, mental shape of their life, because as I've said repeatedly over in this episode, you have to tick both boxes. You have to tick both boxes. How many times maybe have you changed short-term physically, but fell backwards physically because deep down you lack control mentally? You didn't control your emotions. You didn't control your state, whether it's to do with food or just maybe setting up your week, whatever it may be. But deep down you had emotional flaws, which is why you couldn't maintain that physical consistency. And having transformed so many people now, you have to tick both boxes. All right? And what I wanted to sort of elaborate on a little bit more in this episode is the power of language, beliefs, and focus. The power of language, beliefs, and focus. Because deep down, when you achieve great things in life, it could be in business just now, it could be to do with your family, I can guarantee your language pattern in that area and about that area of your life and your beliefs and your level of focus was positive. It was focusing on who you wanted to be and what you actually wanted, not who you were. So I truly believe that if you're going to burn the boat, and really sort of build a better you physically, mentally, even professionally, financially, whatever it may be, focus on who you actually are and who you want to be, not who you were. Because most of us live in the past. And I know that was for me. I lived in the past for so many years because I didn't create a new identity. I didn't create a new vision, a new target of how I wanted to show up, who I wanted to be as a person at the age of 20. And there's no end to this. You have to continually assess, where am I? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to become, more importantly? Because having been someone who has had record men's fitness covers, men's health covers, been ripped now for fucking 22 years, I've had the body and lacked emotional control, lacked confidence, and I've got the body now, and my mindset's never felt stronger. My confidence has never been higher. And in order to do that, you need to be really, really guarded with the language that comes out your mouth. Really evaluate your beliefs all the time and focus on what you want and who you want to become, not who you were. So really catch yourself with the words that come out your mouth. Do the words that come out your mouth lift you, or do they suppress you? Are they holding you back? When you describe yourself to yourself, is it negative? Is your description of yourself negative? And what I've found, even with some of the great business owners that I coach, they might describe themselves very successfully and very empowering and very uplifting with words in their career, but they beat themselves up with words when it comes to their body. They beat themselves up when it comes to their confidence. So with the words I am, really start talking with, positivity about who you want to become and your dream identity, especially when it comes to your body. And then your beliefs. Are your beliefs outdated? Do you need to create new ones? Create a new story about yourself? Because what you believe to be true, you're going to make correct. You're going to make it right. There's so many famous quotes out there, but whether you believe you can or you can't, you're going to make that right. So my challenge to you is, watching this, just like I say to my clients, violate any limiting belief, violate any past failures that are holding you back from building the body you want, from building the mindset you want, and more importantly, the confidence that you want to live with. All right? And focus continually on who you want to become. Because deep down, for me, life is a story. And I've just shared with you, of course, my story now, or, snippets of that. And what's really important when you're trying to go to that next level and basically write a better story for yourself across your professional status, your personal status, your spiritual status, whatever it may be. What do you need to forgive and forget about your past just now? What do you need to forgive and forget? Because deep down, these setbacks, these failures that we have in life, they're our greatest teachers. They're our greatest teachers. If I was to probably say to you now, what is it what makes you great? What are your strengths? Like, where do you feel important and like a master as a person? I can pretty much guarantee that the areas that you feel strong now and you feel you've mastered probably would have been on the back of you exploring some form of pain that made you want to become better and achieve more pleasure in that area. Because if I think of what I feel my superpower now as a coach, is definitely helping people expand beliefs, making them believe in themselves more, build a stronger mindset. Because deep down, that 13-year-old boy didn't believe in himself. And it's my absolute mission now to end suffering a lot quicker than it needs to be. Don't sit in pain longer than it needs to be. Don't dwell on the past longer than you need to. Of course, sometimes we need past pain to use as a motivator and as a driver, but pain will only get you motivated short term. It doesn't create long-term results. You need pleasure attached to your story. You need pleasure attached to new habits if they're going to stick. So who do you need to forgive and forget? All right. And then achievements. Draw back on your achievements in your story to date, all the great things you've done in your life, and write them down. So whenever you're feeling stuck, whenever you're doubting yourself in any capacity, look at the great things you've already done and ask yourself, how did I achieve those great things? What made me successful in that area? What was my language pattern at that time? What did I tell myself? What were the questions I asked myself? How did I carry my body at that time? What was my focus? And mirror the traits, the language patterns, the level of focus, and more importantly, the beliefs that you had that made you successful, that made you achieve in that particular area. And mirror those traits now in any area that you feel like you can achieve more. All right? And just always look at failures as your greatest teachers. Always look at your failures as your greatest teachers. Because all of these significant moments in my life, they've shaped me into the person I am today. For me, I look at failures as it's a bit of a fast track in becoming an expert in that area. They save a lot of time guesstimating what to do. Okay? Yeah, and just look at your biggest pain as an opportunity to develop your greatest strengths. All right? And with these episodes, I always want to leave you with some questions and things you can implement or things to reflect on, because even though I go off track with these because I speak with so much passion, especially when it comes to mindset, beliefs, confidence, and all that sort of stuff, I always want you to leave this podcast, these episodes, with things to think about and things you can actually implement. Okay, so there's 3, what I call them transformation questions that I'd love for you to go away, take some time, because I think they'll help you immensely build a better body. They'll help you immensely in terms of building a greater mindset. They'll help you immensely when it comes to building more confidence. First question: what words do you need to delete from your vocabulary? What words do you say to yourself internally or express externally too frequently that are serving you no purpose in your quest to becoming a better person, to building a better body, to generating better health, living with more vibrancy? What words do you need to delete that you keep maybe beating yourself up with, that you keep labeling yourself with? Because remember, we become who we label. What the label we put on experiences becomes our experience. All right? So what words do you need to delete from your vocabulary? Second question: what beliefs are outdated? What beliefs about yourself are outdated? What do you need to believe that is more in line with who you're trying to become? If you were to give advice to yourself now, 30 years ahead of yourself, what would you tell yourself in relation to beliefs? All right? So what beliefs are outdated? And what new beliefs do you need to create that's going to help you move you forward? Third and final question: where are you too comfortable or holding yourself back right now at the expense of building the body and confidence you desire? Because you would have saw from my story, I had 2 lessons in life: to lean into discomfort or take the comfortable option. And there's a saying that a lesson will keep repeating itself until you do something about it. And I don't want you to have to go through the years and years of pain that I did for the penny to drop in that area. Because from 13 to 20, clearly the penny didn't drop about taking the uncomfortable option, because both of them didn't turn out too well. And then the one time I did take the uncomfortable option, where I quit my job with 5 hours personal training, then my life has never looked back. So where are you too comfortable right now, or holding yourself back right now at the expense of building the body and the confidence that you desire? All right. And then I've got one of my quotes. I always wanted to leave you with a quote too. It's a Dr. Wayne Dyer quote. For me, he's one of the greatest speakers that's ever lived, and a lot of his videos, his storytelling has helped me immensely. But things in life are only as important as the meaning we place on things. For me, this is one of the most poignant quotes that you can always draw back on whenever you're stuck, or whenever you're feeling negative, or whenever you want to beat yourself up. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. And I've got a personal quote that sort of ties in with that. Change the way you look at yourself, and you open yourself up to a whole new opportunity of who you can become, and what you're truly capable of. So really assess the next time you start beating yourself up, or you start feeling negative, how can I look at that thing, or how can I look at myself in a slightly different way that is positive and is going to benefit me long term, and is really going to help me become the person deep down in my heart that I truly want to be. All right. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I think the key takeaway is work on your mindset and your emotions as much as you work on your muscles, your career and your business. Because I promise you, when you do that and you get true control with your emotional state and your mindset, anything is possible. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.